Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Maximum warp. Punch it. Punch it.
Punch it, Bishop!
Punch it.
Punch that shit!
Let's punch it.
Hello, everybody at home, and welcome. This is Punch It, Writing in Star Trek. I am your co-host, Tristan Riddell, and with me, as always, is...
Charlene Schmidt.
Charlene Schmidt. We have an interesting topic today where we're talking about what would it be like if Kirk and Co. fought the Borg.
Yeah.
And I know that some people are kind of probably rolling their eyes like, oh my gosh, we've had so much Borg. You know, like...
Yes.
Like, if you count the first episode, Sisko's fought the Borg, Picard's fought the Borg, Janeway's fought the Borg, even Archer has fought the Borg. And
right.
so
yeah.
we have
which we never needed. Never.
Which we never needed, but... Well, we can talk about that. But it's like almost every iteration has fought the Borg except for Kirk. And so we thought, hey, what if we just developed an idea and figure out what it would look like? We have no idea what we're going to say. We don't know. It's going to be on the fly.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's going to be a movie, if it's going to be an episode, novella, or whatever the hell it is. We have no idea. All that we have is the concept. But before we get into that, we do have a review to mention, don't we?
We sure do. So on iTunes, well, it's Apple Podcasts. Now, I always forget that they changed that whole freaking thing. Whatever. It's a review, and it's from the UK. So thank you very much for... Oh, gosh. It's a combination of zeros and ones. I don't want to read the whole thing out loud. It's a long string of those two characters. But this person said, I'm a Star Trek fan, but also have a real interest in sci-fi writing. Char and Tristan not only have excellent Trek knowledge, but brilliant creativity and perfect chemistry. Thank you so much. They gave us 5 stars. That's why we're shouting out on the show, and we appreciate you taking the time because the best way you can help us out is by leaving a review, and that helps other people find the show.
Thank you very much, Mr. or Ms. Binary.
Yes. 10010. Error. Okay. So before we get started on our topic, we do have one more thing that I want to share, and that is a listener note. And lately we have been reading a little more feedback on air, which I think we ought to continue because it acknowledges that, yes, we appreciate your emails. And even though we do try to reply personally as much as possible, I don't know, there's something special about on air. So... Yeah. I want to read a suggestion or an idea from Carl Hunt, who wrote in and liked our idea of the Nexus All-Stars and is secretly hoping for a part 2. We are not doing that today, but maybe sometime in the future. He has a suggestion instead of Jet Reno being the person who kind of figured things out and honed everything back in and saved the day. What about Paul Stamets? He would be a really good candidate because he's the one who has worked in the mycelial network. He's very likely going to be the one who is going to understand that something is off in time and space because he has worked with time and space a little more than everybody else. And I thought, well, isn't that brilliant? That's great.
Listener, you have a solid point. You're using logic, you're using reasoning, and you're also using on-screen evidence as backup. But I don't like Stamets, so I like Jet Reno as the individual.
So it's merely just a personality conflict for you. That's it?
Honestly, yes. The listener had I'm being serious. Like the individual has fantastic reasoning.
Yeah, it makes more sense than the idea we came up with, honestly.
Yeah, it makes more sense. I just don't like Stamets. Okay,
whatever. I don't think I hate Stamets as much as you do. He can be a total jackass, but there is a certain charm in that from him. I don't know. But then again, I mean, compared to Jet Reno, nobody's more beautiful than Jet Reno.
I freaking love Tig Notaro. I mean, I think that's the thing is that like I love Tig more than Jet because Jet, I feel like there are certain times when Tig can't really get her mouth around the the tech talk.
Well, yeah, you can kind of tell she's a little out of her element there. But really, Jet Reno is just an extension of Tig Notaro.
It's true.
She's acting, but not that much. This is just her character, her persona in space, playing an engineer.
There you go.
Yeah, but that's what I love about it, is I love both because they're just, I don't know, there's something amazing and gravitating toward Tig Notaro, where you want to love her and hug her and be her friend forever.
And if anybody who's listening doesn't know Tig Notaro's work, she's predominantly a stand-up. She's a brilliant comic. Yeah. She has a very unique style, and it's very, very good. And she also developed and starred in her own Amazon Prime show called One Mississippi. And it had 2 seasons before it was rudely canceled. Yeah. And she actually starred in it with her now wife, and it's what's the term I'm looking for? Like pseudo-biographical. Like a lot of it is based off of her life and actually how she met her wife and how they got together, and also how her mother died and how she was fighting cancer and everything like that. So it's a very interesting story. Season 1 isn't that great. Kind of the first episode is fantastic, and then the rest of it is like, ugh. But season 2 is amazing, and it's such an absolute shame that that there's going to be no season 3.
It sounds like it found its legs, and then they pulled the plug on it. That's a dirty old shame. It sounds a lot like her documentary, just in a more like based on a true story format, which if you have Netflix, go check that out. Because if you missed the whole thing where she really got on the map because she talked about the fact that she was fighting cancer in her stand-up routine. And that's really primarily what she was known for. And so the documentary goes through all of that stuff you just mentioned and then some. And it's really good. If you want to get to know who this person is, watch any of that.
All right, how about we start the show?
Let's start the show. Okay, so the Borg, Captain Kirk. This is a little more complex than fighting a Gorn.
Little bit. I don't think he would win hand to hand.
Probably
maybe
not.
Maybe with one drone, I think he would, but not with a horde. So let's go ahead and establish when and where before we start going into story details. So do we want to do TOS era, Kirk and Company, or do we want to do movie era, or hell, we could even move into Kelvinverse? Like what is attractive to you?
You know what's really attractive to me is if we start in TOS and have a TOS Borg episode, creating the potential to eventually have them come back and do some movies.
Okay.
Because, I mean, the formula works. We know that.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was like you're talking about Space Seed and The Wrath of Khan.
Essentially.
Basically.
So what I'm thinking is we have that episode that introduces us to the Borg as a one-off TOS thing. Might not think a whole lot of it. Just like it's a kind of a sci-fi concept, a what if you will. And then we move on. But then lo and behold, they come back, it's for some movie, and they're a complete freaking menace. And we're like, oh, this is what they've turned into. Well, isn't this special?
So with that in mind, are we going to disregard future canon?
Yeah, I don't think we can do the Borg on TOS and keep everything as it is, like with TNG and thereafter. We've got to create an original thing, so we're throwing it out. We're throwing out the canon.
So this is truly a what-if scenario. This is
for real.
This is what if Kirk and Company fought the Borg first.
Yes. Sorry, Picard, we're taking it away from you. Q, you missed your chance, buddy. I don't know what you were doing in this era, but you missed the boat. So, what are the Borg going to look like, and how are they going to operate in a TOS timeframe? Because we have to take into consideration the context that computerization wasn't nearly as prevalent as it was even back in the 80s. I mean, the Borg were kind of designed as an exaggeration of what would happen if technology took over humanity too much and ran amok. Now, as a sci-fi concept, I don't think it's outlandish to say we could do a similar thing, but I think the look and their capabilities is going to be really different.
The first thing that comes to mind, because you bring that up, is if this was done in the 60s, I think we would get the Borg before they were completely Borg. I think we would see a civilization on the verge. We would see a very advanced technological civilization that had heavy implants, where they completely incorporated computers and technology into their daily life as well as their bodies. And so they think, like, maybe they get a little maniacal, just a little maniacal towards the end, where they're just like Kirk and Spock and McCoy and everybody, they just happen upon this group. Like maybe what they could do is like there's this one individual who is, and I truly mean that, an individual, where there's this individual who has lots of implants, and they've submit a distress call. They go and help, and he's like, "Oh, like, can you take me home? Can you take me home to my planet?" And they're just like, "Yeah, sure. How about you tell us about why you're all funky? Are you human? Are you not? You know, like, are you?
What are you?
Yeah, what are you? What's going on?" McCoy's just like, "My God, man, why would you do that to yourself?" You know, like that kind of thing.
I love it. Yeah, he's scanning them. Okay, parts of this is organic. Some of this is mechanical. They're working together. My God, man.
Yeah, like he said he's like, his right arm is completely replaced. He doesn't have a spleen. He doesn't have this. He doesn't have that. Instead, he has this and this and this and that.
Yeah.
And so he's truly an individual, but he lets little references go by where he said, he's like, my race is expecting me. I can hear them calling. And they're just like, what? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You can hear them. Are you wearing a Bluetooth? What's going on?
I have this vision now where he has a little thing in his ear. Lieutenant Uhura is fascinated.
Right.
That's smaller than the one I have. Where'd you get that?
That's weird. And it's lighting up. It's all blue and everything.
It's kind of cool. I want one.
But yes, obviously, like I'm being funny, but like something like that where they're just like, it's like he's nice, but he says he's like, oh no, I can talk to certain people. You know, like I can't talk to everybody, but I can talk to my coworkers and things like that.
Yeah, like he taps the Bluetooth thing on his ear or something like that, and then that's how he interacts with his people. You know, a little beep, bleep boop, and there it is.
Yeah, and like I sent out a distress call because you were closer than my people, and so it'd be really great if you could take me. And maybe they are human. He's a human, because in the 60s they totally would be, where it's just like, oh, this guy is human. This is weird. What happened was like the Borg, once they get to the planet, they're like, didn't this used to be a human colony? And they're like, oh, that's when the Borg came, and they helped us out. Like we were not thriving as a colony, and they said, they're like, well, if you want to join us, we can help you out. We can totally help your colony out, and we'll help you be integrated into your technology and blah, blah, blah. And it sounded pretty sweet at the time, and it just kind of grew exponentially. And so at this point, the Borg are quote unquote nice. You know, like they don't assimilate against anybody's will. Like if people want to join the Borg, they can sign up and say, like, I totally want a robotic arm. Give me that laser pointer eye thing.
So your concept is that these are not necessarily the Borg. These are people who have been enhanced by the Borg.
They are people who have been enhanced by the Borg, but the Borg have colonized that colony.
You know, honestly, I think we could just simplify it, and these could be the origin of the Borg. You don't need the big scary Borg out there.
I know you're probably right.
I am right. I'm right on this one.
I think you are.
But I like the idea that it's a human colony that has fully adopted technology that enhances them along with their organic components, but they are not seeking to assimilate. They are not seeking perfection. They are just trying to use technology to better their lives. And so then on the surface, yeah, it sounds really great. But then maybe we've got some jackass out there who sees that Spock would be an amazing addition to their colony and would have a lot of information to, impart. And that would make everybody better because then it could instantly be shared, right?
Right.
So maybe he wants to, enhance Spock so that Spock can become a part of the party.
I think that's a good idea because, I mean, it's something that's been done before in TOS, but the thing is, TOS repeats itself a few times, and I think this is totally on brand because it's like Spock's brain, but way better, where they're just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like Spock's brain's so beautiful. We need it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's true, but then we also have to just have that kind of TOS story where there's a threat. We have to have a struggle here. And I think that is, forgive the phrasing, the most logical thing to do. He has the most brilliant mind of anybody in the crew. Sorry, Kirk, but then Kirk has to go and fight for Spock and get him back.
One thing that I really want to happen that I think needs to happen is that it can't just be humans there. I think we need to see Klingons. I think we need to see...
Oh, you think?
I think we need to see Vulcans. I think we need to see some races that we've never seen before. And that just is just like Kirk is like, what the hell's going on? Like, you have Klingons in your group, you have this, and they're like, oh my gosh, yes. We don't argue. Like, we're not we don't fight amongst ourselves. This is truly the best way of life. And you guys should totally do it too.
Wow. Okay, so then that creates an even bigger utopia.
Mm-hmm.
That would be really interesting. And so then I think that even sweetens the idea for putting Spock in there, is he could be the first Vulcan to embrace this. And so, I mean, there's got to be a certain part of him that would say that is kind of an opportunity that, I don't know, it would be attractive to him.
Yes, it would be. He would ultimately say no, but he is smart enough to say, like, yeah, these are the advantages. 1, 2, 3.
The thing with TOS is it can't all be hunky-dory. You know, usually there's some sort of god computer, and then you pull back the curtain and there's some megalomaniac person running the controls. We don't need to go that route, but we do need to show that things are not quite as amazing as they initially seemed on this world. Kind of maybe, I mean, for the morals, messages, and meanings, to kind of show, okay, technology is good, but in moderation, everybody.
Yes, I think that's it's going to be, we're going to have that moment where Kirk gets to shine and gives one of his...
He's got to do a speech.
He's got to do his speech where he's morally superior to the people that he's met. And
yeah, that's how it goes. Yes,
that's how it goes. That's what's going to happen. And I think with this, like, the Borg have been lucky so far. Like, the new Borg have been lucky so far, where they're like, we don't assimilate anybody who, when it's against their wishes, but they've never had anybody say no. Right.
So then when Spock says no, that's going to anger a few people. And so that's going to change everything.
They don't know how to process it. They're just like, wait, no, you don't understand. Like, we're going to add your technological and biological distinctiveness to our own. Doesn't that sound awesome? Like,
yeah, come on. We need you.
Like, this is, we need you. You need us. Like, this would be a perfect marriage. And Spock's like, thanks, but no thanks. And then that's when they start to force it. And that's when they're just like, okay, well, how about you just try it out? You know, like, there's just, you know, we'll link you up for a couple of minutes. Well, like, what could go wrong? And then it sounds like, you know, the guy at the bar who just won't leave the woman alone. It's just like, no, come on. Let me have your number.
It escalates, right? Yeah, you can't just take no for an answer and move on. No. Right. We've got to make a thing out of this.
Right. And then it becomes a thing, and that's when Kirk has to throw down the hammer and say, I am morally superior, everything in moderation. We're saying no, go screw yourselves, and that's when the battle ensues.
Right. So I think Kirk could take on a couple of the enhanced Borgs. Like, I mean, he even fought Khan a little bit. He got his butt kicked, but he did. He tried. Right. I think he could take on a couple, but I think they have to eventually get into some firefight and just say, hey, look, no means no.
Yeah, and I think this will trigger something where, like, in a massive escape plan where they're beaten, and Kirk says, I'm going to bring the full force of Starfleet and the Federation on you. Like,
if you do this again. Yeah.
You are not allowed to exist in our space any longer. And they're just like, fine, peace out. We're not going to stay in this space.
Or we got to leave you alone. Like, you leave us alone, we'll leave you alone. You do what you want, but don't you dare come after anybody.
I think, okay.
But then maybe eventually they eventually did leave and did become the Borg. I don't know.
It either happens right now or it happens later. I think that they've got to leave in order to become the Borg, and like we're talking like 20, 30 years later.
Sure.
I'm thinking like maybe 20 years later, all of a sudden they kind of come back to Earth, but that's when we kind of get into the movie territory. So I think they leave right away. I think they're just like, if you and Starfleet aren't as enlightened as the people we already have, we're just going to find new territory. We're just going to leave.
Yeah. So then they go way, way, way out there.
They go out there and they're like, and they have that little moment on the bridge where the three of them are just like, oh, do you think we'll ever see them again? They're like, oh, I don't know. I think like maybe they'll be happy someplace else, something like that.
It would be interesting to see what happens in about 15 or so years.
And then we have the whole Space Seed Wrath of Khan thing where we get another TOS movie. And I'm thinking like after Final Frontier, but before Undiscovered Country. Like that era.
Oh, you think that era? Because I was actually thinking motion picture.
I want to try to avoid motion picture.
Why?
Because it's has an eerily similar story if you think about it, because
Well, that's why I went there. Let me explain, because I think you can merge the two a little bit. Forgive that phrasing, but that's what comes to mind. What if they do find Voyager 6 and then something kind of goes a little haywire and then suddenly they really are out to assimilate and take over Earth? You hate it. Why?
No, I hate it because that theory, that fan theory, has been thrown around online
forever. Yeah,
for as old as we are.
Sure, yeah, it's never been confirmed, but it is a popular fan theory.
It is a popular fan theory. I would much prefer to develop our own.
Okay, all right, we can steer clear of that. But I think the reason why my mind immediately went there is because that is such a popular theory.
Yes, absolutely. It is a very popular theory, and I think it's a very cool theory, but it has been established that the Borg is much older, but in our universe, we can do whatever we want.
Right. Okay, so let's be original and not make such an incestuously small universe.
There you go. And
Okay.
so I just like the later, I like the aged, seasoned Trek veterans a little bit more than the young, spunky ones that we see in Motion Picture and The Wrath of Khan, even though The Wrath of Khan is all about aging. I get it. Shut up.
Okay,
I like the close to retirement thing where it's like tying up loose ends, where Kirk's like, oh, I knew we were going to see these people again. Oh, my God.
And guess what? Guess who's going out there?
Right. I think that's the thing, is that like they finally, since it's post Final Frontier, they get the new Enterprise A. It's up and working again.
Finally.
Scotty's like, okay, guys,
Thank God.
like for serious this time. It's good. We're good to go. It's in tip-top shape. We can go and on our adventures and track gaseous nebulas and explore and fight bad guys. And then I think, like, what could we do here, Char? Like, do we do the normal, like, HQ is on the line? And it's just like, oh, well, we've heard some interesting activity out on the rim. We need you to go check it out. Or do we do something that's a little bit more in your face, like in an undiscovered country, where we have that prologue at the beginning where something crazy happens, where there's an event and we need to go towards it?
I think maybe a little more of the latter, where there's something going on, kind of like on the outer rims of explored space, where colonies have been destroyed, and initially people weren't sure why.
And ships have gone missing.
Ships are gone missing. They're like, what the hell? Is this the whale probe again? What is going on? What now? And so then they gather a little bit of intelligence and they realize, oh, it's these technological beings, and they are way more advanced than the last time we saw them. Captain Kirk, you were the person who dealt with them way back when. Please, can you go out and investigate and try and talk some sense into them?
Yes. I like that idea. I think Kirk is sent because of his history, and they figure it out, like it matches certain signatures, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, something like that. And he is the one and only person, this crew, they're the only people who have any experience with them. So he's going out there to gather as much information as he possibly can. And then Starfleet can maybe go from there as for what and how they want to do about this.
Now, one thing I wanted to do, and it just occurred to me, but then I realized that's stupid because the timelines don't match up, is I wanted to make Captain Hernandez the queen from Enterprise.
I don't think we can go there.
I don't think so either, because I thought it was interesting because the Columbia goes missing.
Yeah.
And
I
no
love
one knows
it,
what happens
but
to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't match up.
Yeah, I don't think we even need a queen at this point. I think, honestly, a TOS era Borg, it would simply be the fact that these individuals are no longer individuals. They have embraced that hive mind. They have way more technology now than they do organic components. It's technology run amok.
I think, yes, absolutely. Like, these are much closer to the Borg that we know and love, that we were introduced to in TNG.
Yeah, and so this being probably a 1980s movie, they've got even more motherboards duct taped to themselves and stuff like that.
They got a fax machine on their back. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's amazing, honestly, what they do with these creatures. Speaking of which, we never really did fully explore how they would look in the 1960s. We have to remember how low budget the show was. I have a feeling it would just be like little metal components going up and down their limbs. So you see that there's a little bit of organic, there's a little bit of technology, and it looks cheap, but they're doing the best they can.
Like it's like a tube here and there jutting out.
Yeah, like it's not full body armor. It's like half of that. Stripped down.
A lot of tinfoil around the arm, stuff like that.
Yes, that is what I'm thinking. Yeah.
And these look much better, but it's still the 80s, but it looks much better.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of like the Klingons. They got refined, they had more definition, and that'll be the case for these guys too.
And I think I like the idea of not having an antagonist per se, where like it's treated more like a storm, where it's just like, well, how do we get out of its way? How do we defeat it? One thing that I think would be interesting is if the reason why, like, it's on the fringe of Federation space, but it's massive amounts of cubes and colony ships and spheres and everything like that, and it's just heading their way. It's gobbling up fringe colonies from all the major races from the Federation. So like Andorians, Vulcans, Tellarites, humans, like it goes for the fringe colonies first, because that's where they came from. That's what they know. And they're basically like starting to surround the Federation with like little Borg colonies here and there.
Okay. So essentially, though, what we're creating then is like a Borg armada.
Yes.
It's getting bigger and bigger. There's more ships, more cubes, what have you. And we have to make this manageable, though. They have to be able to be defeated.
Yes, they have to be able to be defeated. And the reason why I'm going in this direction, you can tell me no if you don't like the idea, but the reason why I'm going in this direction is because one thing that I felt was always kind of lacking in the TOS movies that we got a little bit more of in the Kelvinverse and also within the TNG movies is that you didn't really feel like the Enterprise D was alone. You didn't really feel like the Kelvin Prize was alone in the TOS movies. And I know that this is by design. Like, yes, they were part of a fleet and, like they went home for dry dock and space dock and everything like that. But when they were out in the fringes, it was just like, boom, that's it. You got nobody's going to come and save you. No one's going to help you out. But I've always wanted to see a TOS movie era armada. And so I think this is, hold on one second. Hold on one second. Well, I think this is the point where we can expand what we saw in First Contact, where instead of an entire armada going to Earth to protect it, Kirk and Crew has to help organize all of the fleets to leave and hit key points among the armada around the fringes of Federation space and do it in a timed attack all at once.
Okay.
What's your idea?
You might hate this idea that I have, but what if in this time period we have Sulu on the verge of becoming the captain of the Excelsior? What if he is? What if we make that leap? He's the one who discovers the remnants of colonies and sees that there's a threat out there. They send out Captain Kirk, and Kirk and Sulu initially start working together. And then I love your idea of organizing a fleet, having to destroy all of this, because we have to determine how big this Borg armada really is. Like, I want to think it started out as just one kind of big cube, and then it got way too crowded and they had to start creating a little bit more. They're building other ones. And maybe there's a little bit of intelligence on that. Like, hey, look, they're expanding now. They're building more of these things. The bigger they get, the harder they are going to be to fight. We've got to stop them now.
I think this movie could lend itself to being long-term. Like, in almost every TOS movie, and TNG movie, by that matter, is like a couple of days or a week, something like that. So what if in this movie we're talking about like 6 months to a year? Like this is something that, like, there's a threat on the edge of space, on the edge of Federation space, and it's growing. There's a cube over there, there's a cube over there, and there's a cube over there. There's 3 spots, and it's growing. They took over colonies and they took over some ships. They've added that to their armada. They're waiting. And we figured out, like, we sent some spies, we sent some scouts, and they're building more and more. And every ship that goes in their area, they assimilate, take their technology, take their people, so it's more people to their workforce. And it takes some time because they're on the fringes of Federation space. We're still dealing with warp capabilities that's lower than what we're used to in TNG. And so getting this information is hard. Getting back is even harder. And let's narrow it down to like maybe 3 or 4 areas instead of like surrounding them all around.
Yeah, I think we do have to keep it on a smaller scale. Like maybe they stop after a certain amount of invasion, the Borg, realizing that they have to build their fleet. They have to take the time and stop before they keep going. Maybe we watch, I don't know if it would be Kirk or Sulu, but if you want to go with the Captain Sulu idea, because he's out there in Beta Quadrant or what have you, we have to learn what these people are doing. We don't know their capabilities, so they're out there investigating that. We have to learn about them before we understand this, because we understand the Borg. We've seen the Borg to exhaustion, but they haven't. So we're learning, just like, they are completely enveloped in technology.
What if on this one, just to get into the weeds a little bit more, the Excelsior is the first one to discover what it is. And
that's what I'm thinking.
But it's captained by somebody else. And
not what's his bucket.
Not what's his bucket, but it's captained by somebody else. And they go and they investigate it. They're the first ship to survive a Borg attack and get away, but the captain did not survive. And that's when Sulu takes the captaincy of the Excelsior.
Do you suppose it was the transwarp drive that helped them get the hell out of there?
But they burned it out, and so it didn't work or something like that.
Good morning, Captain.
But yeah, so like that way we actually see Sulu leave the Enterprise and become a captain of Excelsior.
Okay, you know, that might be a really good intro to the movie. Is Kirk and Sulu are talking. Kirk says, "Hey, congratulations on your promotion. What ship did you get?" The Excelsior. "Oh, I heard that some crap went down there. Okay, that's what's going on, blah, blah, blah. Be careful out there." Kind of sending him off as the passing of the baton, if you will, which we do all the time in Trek. But hey, you have graduated to captain now. Good for you, buddy.
I like that a lot. Let me add to it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to change anything. I'm going to add to it.
Do it.
The prologue, I know this is a little reminiscent of Undiscovered Country, but shut up, everybody.
We don't have Undiscovered Country yet. We can do whatever we want.
We don't have it yet. And so the Excelsior encounters the Borg.
Yeah.
And they get the crap kicked out of them. I mean, just like hardcore punched, and they barely escape with their lives. We see that. And then it says at the bottom of the screen, 3 months later, something like that.
Okay, cool.
And they make it out, but it's 3 months later, the captain's dead. That's all we know. And then we see everybody together. They're doing something where I don't know where they are. They're doing something.
They're having a party for Captain Sulu and his promotion.
Right. And that's when Kirk says exactly what you said. What ship did you get? And he said, "Oh, they're having me captain the Excelsior." And Kirk's like, "The Excelsior? That's interesting. Like I thought they were out doing maneuvers, you know, like on the so-and-so quadrant in the sector or something like that."
Right.
And
I thought they were on the fringes of space.
Yeah, and he says, like, apparently they came back a while ago, and
they limped into space dock. They've had to come for repairs.
But like it was a secret. Like it was a secret for 3 months. Like they were hiding the Excelsior
because nobody knows what's going on yet, and so they want to keep it under wraps until they know what's going on.
And that's when Spock comes in and says, Captain, we were called to a meeting or something like that. And then he turns to Sulu, and Sulu's like, "Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna go off to my ship. You go have fun at your little meeting. We'll talk later."
Yeah, exactly. And Sulu says, "I've already been briefed," and that's when Kirk's like, "What?" Like he gets a little like.
I love it. Kirk would definitely be taken back. Like, you know something I don't? How dare you?
It's a little like his ego goes down just a little bit.
Oh, such a good moment. That must be. Yes.
And that's where they meet with the brass, and they show pictures and video. It's just like, this happened at this time. The Excelsior barely escaped. We've noticed that it was these people or like this kind of technology. And Spock looks at Kirk, and Kirk and Spock are the ones who said like, "Yeah, we've already seen those people." And they're like,
we think we know who they are.
Yeah.
And Starfleet Intelligence, meanwhile, says, "Yeah, that's who we thought they were too. That's why we want to send you out alongside the Excelsior for reinforcements to investigate. You're the only people who know anything about these guys. Find a way to stop them."
Yeah. And so Excelsior and Enterprise, they go and they scout. They figure out like maybe we'll have a few landing parties with them where they discover what's happening.
They've got to, like, I think we have to have a little bit of a Q-Who kind of a moment where Sulu and Kirk and maybe a few people on the landing party, they've got to go on the ship and investigate.
So I think like Act 1 would be the prologue, and then the explanation, the meeting, and then them leaving Earth and going out to investigate. Act 2 would be the Q Who episode where they go and they get closer and they
Right.
they get on board, they do tests, maybe they bring a person back, and McCoy's just like, this person is so different from what we saw 20 years ago.
Oh, I don't think they get somebody. I think he just has to scan them on the ship.
I love the idea of getting somebody because I want Bones to like really take him apart.
How would they do it? Wouldn't that person be fighting them? I mean, unless he's got some sort of tranquilizer that works on a technological being.
There you go.
He finds
I don't
the
know.
off switch. I don't know.
Well, like maybe like Shatner's like totally impulsive, and like Spock is there, and Kirk is there, and Ensign Ricky is there, and they and Kirk's like, wouldn't it be great if we took one back for Bones? And Spock's like, yeah, I don't think that's
No.
possible. And then Kirk's just like, okay, and then he rips out like a chip, like a microchip from the back of
It's
his
on
head.
a circuit or something he passes out. Okay, that's hilarious, and I would love to see that, but I don't know if that's how it would actually go down in a real movie.
You just said it would be hilarious and you'd love to see it. I think it would be perfect for a TOS movie. I think it would be a great Spock and Kirk moment. And we'd get to see McCoy do his thing.
I'm going to have to think about that. Because then here's the thing is, okay, they take the decapitated or whatever machine being, and then they've got to return it back, right?
Either he, let's see, like,
But then they find out it's been tampered with. Oh, somebody is out there. They are screwing with us.
maybe that's when they realize, okay, well, we can mess with him. Like, we can go around until they consider us a threat. This is what made them think we're a threat. So, like, if we go and see them again, they're going to start firing.
Yes.
So, like, because they took somebody. And I think what would be interesting is if the person died on the table because Kirk did something to his technological components.
They don't know what they're messing with.
Exactly, and that's why McCoy says, like, listen, if the organics die, the tech dies. If the tech dies, the organics die. Like, they are intertwined. Like, there is no going back. There is no recuperation. There's no rehabilitation. This is done, and one can't exist without the other. And that's when they're like, maybe we can use this to our advantage.
Yes. That's the edge they're going to need.
Yeah.
Now, they're also going to have to figure out the extent of the hive mind, because I feel like you disconnect enough. Like, it's like you get to the mothership, essentially, the queen, if you will. Although I kind of hate, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
I don't want to do it either.
Yeah, but like I don't know. Maybe there's some sort of weird central processor that everybody's thoughts have to go through or something. You kill that, you kill the network, and they can't talk to each other. And then it makes it that much easier to debilitate the Borg ships, the Borg drones, and then pew, 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 massive explosions. They're all dead.
I like that idea where I think that's when because they have the body, McCoy discovers so much, and they discover the hive mind, and they figure out oh, this is like what happened 20 years ago, but like to the nth degree. And this is how they coordinate their attacks. This is how they're coordinating their builds. And that's when Sulu and Kirk are like, okay, Sulu, you go to the other cube over there, and we'll stay with this one. And then they call HQ, and they're like, send 2 other ships to the 2 other locations, or like send as many ships as you can to all of these locations.
Yeah, we need firepower.
And then we'll let you know, like, we have to do this at the same time. We have to destroy these vinculums at the same time so that they can't talk to each other.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we're totally missing some great lines from McCoy, because he's going to be working with these technological beings. He's going to be just blown out of his mind. He's going to be like, see, I told you this is why technology is awful. Look at what happens when it goes crazy.
Exactly. Yes, I love that idea.
You know, he's going to be a massive head case, and I'm going to love it.
And so they do that at the same time. Maybe we have some suicide missions just to get some drama. And
some red shirts are going to die.
Some red shirts are going to die. Some people that were introduced at the beginning of the film who are new crewmates, or people who are like captains that Kirk knows, that he's just like, oh, you old so-and-so, I haven't seen you in years. How's Kathy? You know, like something like that.
Sure,
and
yeah. Or the Farragut, they're going to die. You know,
they're going to die,
like
you know,
always.
like stuff like that. Or like they do the whole Jim Hadar, like boom, they throw themselves into the cube. You know, like I'd love to see that happen. So all of this happens, like they all coordinate. They all destroy the vinculum at the same time, and that's when they can just go crazy and destroy everything.
Yeah. Target that explosion and fire. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I pretty much think that's our movie.
More or less. Yeah, I mean, we kind of really skipped ahead toward the end here, but I think we've got the basis for an overall story of how that might actually go down. It could be fun, and I would love to know what our listeners think about this idea, if you prefer what we did here as opposed to what we actually saw, because we have, I think, the audience, Star Trek fans at large, we have a lot of various opinions on the Borg, and for good reason.
Yeah.
So I'd love to know that. I would also love to know if our listeners have a title for this movie or the episode.
Yes, I love it. I love it when, I absolutely love it when listeners chime in on what they think the episode should be called or what the movie should be called. If you guys give us some good ones, we will mention it on the show. So please go to thenerdparty.com/contact, like punch it from the drop-down menu, fill out the form. It'll send us an email. You can also find us on social. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're all over the place. You can find me personally on Twitter at @TheInsaneRobin.
You can find me at Oh the Profanity, and if you send suggestions that suck, maybe we'll read those anyway, but we will be laughing with you, not at you.
All right, well, next week is going to be a lot of fun. It's not going to be this. It's not going to be part 2. It's not going to be movie 2 of Borg, but
Not
it
this time.
is going to punch it.
Ready for warp, sir. Let's punch it.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.